Life can often feel cruel and unfair. It can reach a low where all you can really do is laugh. Gallows humor, Soviet anecdotes. Comedy can be used to cope with hard times or highlight how bad things really are. Tragic tales will often spotlight the comic relief, otherwise the viewer would drown in sorrow. Fallout depicts a cruel and unfair world, one where life was set back almost a millennia. Fallout 2 is far more comedic than its predecessor. Some old school fans believe that the humor of Fallout 2 harms the setting. The game isn't as dark now. It won't take itself as seriously. I half-heartedly disagree. On the surface, it might seem less cruel, but I assure you, it's still a cruel world. I cannot ignore or disagree that they do heavily rely on pop culture references, and these can be very hit or miss. There's a rift in the fandom, a rift over the conundrum of Fallout 2, a cruel and comedic world.
Come in, Chosen One. There are things you must know. The village is dying. The signs are everywhere. Withering crops. Dying Brahmin. Sick children. There is hope, however. A slim hope that few know of. The old discs speak of an item called the Garden of Eden Creation Kit. It is said it can bring life to the wasteland. This will be your quest, if you prove yourself worthy. For that proof, you must first journey to the Temple of Trials. If you survive, come back to me. We will talk more. Our life is in your hands, Chosen One. Prove yourself. Find the Gek. Be our salvation.
Fallout 2, like its predecessor, gives the protagonist a MacGuffin to seek out, along with the looming threat of the Sword of Damocles overhead. Fallout has a bit of a cold opening compared to Fallout 2. While it's not much, the player can warm up to Ario before they head into the wasteland. We meet the Chosen One's aunt, who seems to hate or at least not get along with them. We also meet the Witch Doctor, who's a bit of an oddball.
The plants of Dark Soul have infested my garden again. Many seasons have touched my bones, and I am too frail for the fight which is eternal in nature. I ask that you be my champion. May the gods bless your efforts, Chosen. May your aura grace my presence when the earth breathes clean again.
And then there's the Village Elder, the one who gave the Chosen One the quest to seek out the Gek. Fallout 2 feels like a classic adventure. The player leaves their small backwater village and travels far and away to save them. Halfway through that adventure, the village is destroyed, leaving them to find the big bad who did it and defeat them before they can destroy the whole world. They're even called the Chosen One. Now's when I pull the curtain. The threat isn't real. Well, it's real in terms of the plot, but as far as the metagame is concerned, it's all an illusion. Unlike Fallout, there's no ticking clock, though the game does like to give semblance of one. A lot of the dread felt in Fallout's first half was knowing every second you wasted on the surface was a second closer to Vault 13's demise. Fallout 2 has no ticking clock, no constant reminder that time is running out. You can easily forget.
Chosen, the spirits of our ancestors guide me to a world of dreams that I may touch thoughts. Our village suffers without the Holy Gek. Your hands hold our lives as a father holds his children.
Alright, you are reminded of the peril that Ario is in, however slacking off yields no penalty. This warning is superfluous at best. A seasoned Fallout 2 player might say, actually there is a time limit. You could reach 13 in-game years, and then the game ends. And yeah, I did know that. Realistically, you will complete this game long before you hit 13 years. The Sword of Damocles is paper mache. Don't get me wrong, I do love Fallout 2, but there is a different mood to the game. Fallout feels like a dead world that's been born again. Fallout 2 feels like that reborn world in its growing pains. Many times I've seen both games, hell most of this franchise, described as post-apocalypse. What life could be like when the new world is built over the ashes of the old. Throughout Fallout we see examples of this rebirth, starting with the aptly named Boneyard. The LA Boneyard stretched forever. The skeletons of buildings lying under the hot sun. Not even the wind entered the city. The Boneyard is a depressing place during the events of Fallout. People are kidnapped by the Master's Unity Project, gangs oppress the weak, and Deathclaws are, well, they're Deathclaws. After the events of both Fallout and Fallout 2, the city would become part of the greater NCR, and according to the few characters in New Vegas who did live there, They claim that it's still a dangerous city. Mind you, there's a 120-year gap between Fallout and Fallout New Vegas, proving once and for all that not even nuclear bombs will fix Los Angeles. The rebirth can be seen in places such as the Hub and Junktown. They inform us that this world is rebuilding. It might be in the remnants of the old world, but an attempt is being made. Then there's Shady Sands, the biggest example of this world being reborn. It's the one place you visit where people aren't living in squalor or shanty towns made out of scrap metal. Their buildings are made out of new construction. It might not be the Garden of Eden, but its people are educated and they have clean water. Tandy says that the place is a bit boring, but I'll take boring over the Boneyard any day. Shady Sands is one of the few locations one can visit in Fallout 2 that was in the first game. In the 80 years that's passed since, this small town has now become its own budding country, the NCR. Life inside the walls of the NCR is different from most locations in Fallout 2. You can almost forget that the world ended when you're visiting this place. There is, however, a glaring problem outside the walls of the NCR. A problem the player has probably run into a couple of times by now. Slavery. There's a lot of focus on slavery in Fallout 2. In one quest, an NCR ranger will ask the player to free the slaves inside the encampment right outside the NCR border. Slavery is illegal in the NCR, and they find the very act of it repugnant. On the flip side, you can actually join the slavers and help them capture people and sell them into servitude. With a twist of the knife, the player can also sell their own friends into slavery. That is some biblical level of betrayal and evil. To become a slaver comes at a heavy cost. Slavers are branded with face tattoos, meaning they can never run away and escape the life. Ironically, this does make them slaves to their own work. Most decent people will shun the slavers. Bounty hunters and NCR rangers will hunt the player down if they become one. Morals may have shifted greatly in the Wasteland, but it seems slavery is still a bridge too far. The first companion you meet, Sulik, tells us that his sister was captured by slavers. In a cut side quest, you can rescue her, but in the base game, Sulik just has to live with the fact that he'll never see his sister again.
The evil warriors tied up the rest and took off. Sis with them. Friend, we be finding her or dying trying. We and I know they're slavers at Den. When we're free, we're out of here.
Later on in the Den, another companion, Vic, is being held as a slave. His freedom can be bought. The Den is already a pretty bleak place, stricken with gambling and drug addicts. The slaver pen only adds to the misery. The Den definitely feels like a bleak town, even more so than some of the towns in the original game. The Hub was a bit of a shithole, but at least people there weren't slaves. Walking around the Den, you can find burnouts, drug addicts, pickpockets. It's a sense of hopelessness here. And if you think this place is bad, then don't worry, it gets much worse. Vault City is a facade. It's not the utopia its citizens claim it to be. The clean streets are nothing but a veneer that's hiding the ugly truth. The citizens of Vault City are made up of the former residents of Vault 8. After emerging from their vault, they used their GEC to make the place inhabitable again, much like the residents of Vault 15 did when they created Shady Sands. When comparing Vault City to the NCR, they're close if not equal in quality of life for their citizens. Life inside the walls is safe, much like the NCR. Food and water are plentiful, much like the NCR. Slavery is legal, much unlike the NCR. I did say life in Vault City was good for their citizens. Their citizens. When the player first visits Vault City, they find themselves outside the walls in an encampment. Life outside the walls is tough. Kes tells the player that the police sometimes raid the place and shake him down for money. When fights break out, they're met with excessive force and possible capture. Those who are captured are made into slaves. I mean servants. It's faux pas to call people slaves in Vault City. In fact, asking too many questions will get the player kicked out of the city for life. For non-citizens, they need a day pass to enter. And within the walls of the city, citizens are very rude to non-citizens, seeing them as nothing more than savages. Even if you're shopping around, they'll act as though you're more of an inconvenience than anything. They still happily take your money, of course. As vile as this place can be, not everybody in Vault City is a monster. McClure, the second in charge of Vault City, butts heads with the first citizen often. He's far more open-minded when it comes to dealing with outsiders. He seems to understand that diplomacy is needed, and that if they're going to be isolationists, they are going to still have to deal with other people sometimes. The first citizen wishes for the neighboring ghouls of Gecko to be eradicated. She thinks they're intentionally leaking radiation from their power plant as an act of war.
There's a town, if you could call it that, to the northeast of our city. It is filled with creatures that are polluting the groundwater with dangerous radiation. Disable their plant permanently, so that they cannot cause any more damage. Those things are operating a damaged atomic power plant. You see, they are immune to radiation. They don't care that they are slowly killing us with their poisons.
McClure believes that this power plant can actually be repaired, and that the ghouls have already suffered enough. He doesn't wish to start a war or kill anybody over what he perceives to be nothing more than an accident. He believes that fixing this power plant is also pragmatic, as Vault City needs it. They've been relying on nothing but Vault 8's reactor, and that's failing, a fact that McCleary is very aware of. Dr. Troy wishes to find a cure for the devastating new drug Jet. Drugs of all kind have been banned from Vault City, so his reasons for doing this are nothing but altruistic. Jet is a highly addictive methamphetamine that has been plaguing the wasteland. Jet has caused suffering in the towns of the Den, Redding, and New Reno. The effects Jet has had on the mining town of Redding has caused a horrible cascade of misfortune. Jet is starting to diminish their mining efforts. No mining means no production. No production means no Redding. And if Redding is doomed, then soon the first domino will fall and the whole wasteland will be doomed. Like slavery, Jet plays a major role in many aspects of Fallout 2's world building. New Reno, acting as the second biggest little city in the game, is the hotbed for Jet. The dealers can be found within earshot of children forced to wait outside brothels. Naturally, the world's oldest profession in narcotics would survive nuclear hellfire. Jet is produced and manufactured in a large lab north of New Reno. It's run by one of the mob families in New Reno, because of course it is. The production of Jet is on every level unethical and grotesque. Its development and testing is forced on slaves to see its effectiveness. Unwilling guinea pigs in an experiment that has already killed countless. It's manufactured using, you guessed it, slave labor. And the secret ingredient? Cow shit. They use the dung of Brahmin in the manufacturing of the drug. To take Jet is to literally eat shit. Most depraved is the boy genius responsible for this drug, Moiran. I find Moiran in many ways to be more evil than the Master. What the Master did can't be justified. His actions were abhorrent and unhuman. Yes, he was blinded by the Unity, but by his own admission, that can't excuse what he did. His goals may have been a delusion, but at least his road to hell was paved with good intentions. At least he was trying to be the hero of his own story. Moiran, on the other hand, is an amoral, id-driven punk who gleefully profits off of human suffering. Even by Wasteland standards, his morals are quite twisted. Some fans say that Fallout 2 isn't as dark as the first game. They cannot say Fallout 2 is void of it though. Playing as a female Chosen One, you will see on full display how depraved Moiran really is.
Why, hello there, beautiful. Of course you are. Oh, hey, wait a minute, stay. Have a drink first, we can talk. Be friends. You do want us to be friends, right? Now, you just relax, sweet meat.
It really says something that a game where freely are murdering children isn't the darkest thing you can do. No, correction. That is the darkest thing you can do. This is the darkest thing that can happen to you, the player. Black Isles didn't hold back with how depraved people can be. Not just in Fallout, but in real life. Having this happen to my character does make my skin crawl. I don't think any other game has managed to bring that out of me. For some, this might be too much, and that is understandable, but I do think it really cements how repugnant Myron really is. Nothing is off the table for this slimy little fuck. He can join the party too, by the way, and he's also a pathetic party member. That's why when I have him join the adventure party, it's only to sell him into slavery. Keeping him alive is also fine, just so you could see the poetic justice that is his ending slide.
Myron died less than a year after the defeat of the Enclave, stabbed by a Jet addict while drinking in the den. His discovery of Jet was quickly forgotten, and now there is no one who remembers his name.
It's not as pervasive as slavery or drug addiction, but there is also a sense of prejudice found in Fallout 2. Enclave not included, of course. This is mostly directed to tribals such as the Chosen One and Sulik, but it also extends to Marcus, the supermutant. If the player travels with the supermutant Marcus to Vault City, the guards will deny him entry. You actually have to tell him to wait outside. In Redding, walking into a bar with Marcus will lead to the owner telling you that his kind isn't welcome here. Ironically, Marcus himself has some leftover prejudice for humans from his time serving the Master. Marcus allows anyone to live in his town Broken Hills as long as they're decent people. Humans, ghouls, anybody. He'll finally talk about his best friend Jacob, a member of the Brotherhood of Steel. If the Chosen One divulges to Marcus that their ancestor was the Vault Dweller, he tells the Chosen One that he's moved on and that he's not angry about the death of the Master anymore.
Oh, what sinkhole are you from? Muties and normals made peace a long time ago. The original Vault Dweller? You mean the one who killed the Master and destroyed the vats? Not a problem. Like I said, that was a long time ago.
Talking to Marcus about the Master reveals that he has moved on with his life, but on some level he does still believe that the Master did nothing wrong.
The Master wanted to elevate everyone to his level so we wouldn't fight each other anymore. He was convinced we wouldn't do it by ourselves. Couldn't. We had to be forced to evolve. While Jacob was alive, I thought the Master was wrong, but it seems that while some men can heed the call and rise above it all, most just run away. When Jacob heard the call and embraced it, so did the Vault Dweller, but no matter how many rise above, the masses will always destroy them. Right? The Master just wanted everyone to see clearly. The Vault Dweller ended that dream. It was flawed. We should have only taken the best. Look around. Most mutants didn't have the mind or will to withstand the strain. If only we had chosen better. Hell yes, I would have. What a great mutant he would have been. We had this argument all the time. I miss that hard head. You're right. If all humans fought for what they believed in like that, we wouldn't have needed the Master's plan in the first place. But don't forget, I knew the folks involved. They were the best humanity had to offer. Your people are going to tell the story a different way, right?
Of course not. Most will be offered a chance to become a mutant.
Those who deny this
Opportunity,
will be sterilized and
let go. Those that resist will be
executed.
They were the best humanity had to offer.
Feel better now? Since torture is such a crass, yet oddly satisfying and effective technique, I'll ask you once more, nicely. Where is the vault?
They were the best humanity had to offer.
The mutant attack on Necropolis spares none of its ghoulish inhabitants. After the mutant armies advance, they leave a truly dead city behind them.
They were the best humanity had to offer.
Guards, take her away and prepare her for the dipping.
They were the best humanity had to offer.
Yeah, okay. Sure, buddy. Up until now, I've mostly talked about the bleakness of Fallout 2's themes, whereas in the video for Fallout, I mostly talked about the atmosphere. The atmosphere is still there. The Den feels as hopeless as the hub felt, and I'd say Reading is more depressing than both. New Reno feels like what Gizmo wanted Junktown to be. Whenever you go to that city, you can't escape the rot of the place. I've played this game many times over, and I still expect to get mugged while I walk down the grimy streets of New Reno. Burnouts are always walking the streets next to hookers and drug dealers. Gunfire can be heard all day and all night, non-stop. They have to tell you that the Boneyard has a crime problem. In New Reno, you could see it yourself. Hell, your car even gets fucking stolen when you park it in the wrong part of town. It felt like a missed opportunity to not make San Francisco a leitmotif for its SoCal sister Los Angeles, because San Francisco as a whole feels really goofy in this game. Nothing about it feels like it belongs. It feels like there's a missed opportunity here to have something more interesting going on than Scientologists fighting the Chinese emperor, who's actually an artificial intelligence. There's also this weird focus on these two dojos that are fighting over control of the town or something silly. I don't know, this is too Looney Tunes, man. The city just feels too safe. It feels like nothing that happens here actually matters. It feels completely divorced from the rest of the wasteland. And this leads into the second half of my thesis, if you can call it that. The comedic elements of Fallout 2. This game is trying to be funny, and sometimes succeeding. Some would say this is a detriment to the game's setting though. More often than not, I think they're referring to the high volume of references the writers couldn't help but inject into the game. This was mostly absent from Fallout since Tim Kaine wanted the goofy writing to be dialed back as much as possible. The few references that did make it into the game, Tim Kaine has said that he regrets that decision and wished they handled it a bit more like New Vegas did with the Wild Wasteland perk. giving the player the ability to have the pop culture references in the game if they desired. With his presence absent for most of Fallout 2, the writers were allowed to do whatever they really wanted. It could be biased, but I think they seem less intrusive in Fallout. The TARDIS was the most glaring pop culture reference in the game that I can think of. If Fallout 2's most silly reference was the Star Trek shuttlecraft crashed in the desert, I think the fans would be a lot more forgiving. Fallout had a couple of references, but Fallout 2 isn't content with a couple of references. The same game that allows me to vaporize children will have me run into the bridge scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then you need to reenact the scene. You can also find members of the Brotherhood of Steel acting like the cast of that movie. The NPCs even sing the Sir Robin song. How about a boxing quest where not Mike Tyson bites your ear off, giving you a permanent -1 charisma stat? Do you remember Dan Quayle, the vice president? Is this Monica Lewinsky? Scientologists also play a big factor in finishing the main quest. Is this supposed to be Tom Cruise? What the fuck is going on? Another joke that didn't work for me is a random encounter where you can find the Maltese Falcon, a location from the first game, filled with NPCs, also from the first game. They're joined by a bunch of random people in vault suits. You can't talk to any of them, but they will spout a bunch of meta humor about both games. The writers also do a bit of lampshading here in regards to how you couldn't play a black person in the first game for technical reasons, but jokingly imply it's for other reasons. In a game where you still can't play as a black person for likely technical reasons, but it could be for... What do they mean by this? Before I go any further, I should mention that I do know I'm throwing rocks in a glass house. I've made references in my videos in the past, and I'm sure I'm bound to do it again in the future. I only try and add 1 or 2, 3 if I'm feeling brave. Fallout 2 has 150 topics it references. It could also feel really dated. Who's gonna find a Dan Quayle stand-in funny? He's been out of office longer than most of you watching this have been alive. What if you never watched Monty Python? That bridge scene must feel so random to you if you don't get the reference. At least the one-liners NPCs say can just go over your head. It doesn't matter, it could just be random dialogue. And it's not as if either of these games aren't capable of doing their own humor. I find the gag of a used car salesman selling cars that clearly don't work to be quite funny. And it's not the act of selling broken cars itself that is funny, but it's the fact that the guy thinks these cars do work. What makes it funnier is in the second game, you actually can get a functioning car. You can also find a bunch of Brahmin that give the Vault Dweller a bad feeling. This actually has a punchline in the second game, where the Chosen One finds a field of Brahmin that also give him a bad feeling, and then those Brahmin explode. I don't know, that's kind of funny. While I don't hate a gag now and then, I do agree that too many of them do make the game feel a little less dire. This will be my last time mentioning it, but it can't be overstated how tiring the pop culture references are. What reason is there for Magic the Gathering cards to exist in this game, other than for the devs to tell us that they like to play Magic the Gathering? In spite of this, I still find the darker elements of the game to be very compelling. I love going to New Reno and Vault City. I love going to the NCR and seeing what's become of the town of Shady Sands, how you can actually meet Tandy again, and see how she's changed in the 80 years since the first game. Overall, I think they do a good job of not overplaying their hand with locations from the first game. I understand the reasoning why they couldn't do it, but I do wish we could see what happened to places like Junktown and the Hub. So yes, I do acknowledge that the comedy in this game can be a bit much, but there is still really good world building. There's still good writing here. This game just has an incongruous feel to it, and no places that felt more than with the Enclave. The Enclave are equally menacing and goofy. Unfortunately, they're never going to be as menacing as the Master and his Unity project, but that's the trade-off you get when you want to add goofy moments. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I don't enjoy those moments. There are Enclave moments that I find downright hilarious. In combat, these guys are more threatening than Deathclaws. Even if you have a full party stacked with endgame weapons and power armor, these guys can still wipe the floor with you. The patrols also show no mercy. Their introduction to the game is them massacring everybody in Vault 13 in the opening cinematic. The Enclave are also the ones who in the second half of the game kidnap the villagers of Ohio and then burn the place down. The Enclave government has plans to commit genocide on the population of the world, seeing them as unclean and tainted by radiation. It's a common belief in the Enclave that all outsiders are mutants.
The only way for true humans and democracy to be safe is to cleanse the mutants from the globe. We humans will take back that which is rightfully ours.
Their behavior is nothing short of Machiavellian. The Vault-Tec Vault experiments were actually their own doing. The president will talk nonchalantly to the player about this stuff.
We had planned ahead. We were ready. We had a number of sanctuaries that would enable the glorious American civilization to endure. This facility, the vaults, were part of the great plan. Actually, they worked almost exactly the way they were supposed to. You might call it a social experiment on a grand scale. The vaults were set up to test humanity. Some had not enough food synthesizers. Others had only men in them. Yet others were designed to open after only 6 months. They each had a unique set of circumstances designed to test the occupants.
And the thing is, the more games that come out in the Fallout world, the more these experiments just seem nothing short of brutal. There's no reason for this either. What do these experiments do for them? Vault 12 having a blast door that was made to not seal and shut was done for no reason other than to be sadistic. You can't tell me that by 2077, in this world, they didn't know what radiation would do to people. These people were made to suffer for no reason other than a couple of Machiavellian feds thought it was a good idea 2 centuries ago. With their plan spelled out for Vault 13, it's nothing short of poetic justice and government incompetence that causes a butterfly effect that ends up destroying the Enclave. Before the Great War, Vault 8 accidentally received Vault 13's shipment of water chips. Because Vault 13 didn't have any spare water chips, the Vault Dweller had to go on their quest, which eventually led to their banishment. Because the Vault Dweller was banished, he ended up founding Ario. In Ario, he eventually becomes deified. His own ancestor then, 80 years later, has to go on their own quest, just like the Vault Dweller did. And because the Chosen One was on this quest, they weren't in Ario when the Enclave attacked it. But because they kidnapped all the people, the Chosen One now has to go after them, leading to their own destruction. This all happened because some bean counter 200 years ago made a mistake. Isn't it great? So how can a group like this also be so funny? It's not so much that the Enclave as an organization is funny, it's more that, well, military people can be quite funny. Take, for example, Sergeant Dort.
You are out of uniform, soldier! Where is your power armor? Don't have any? You expect me to believe that, maggot? The truth is, you lost an expensive piece of Army-issue equipment. That suit is going to come out of your pay, and you will remain in this man's army until you are 510 years old, which is the number of years it will take for you to pay for a Mark II powered combat armor you have lost. Report to the armory and have a new suit issued to you. Then report back to me, Private. Dismissed. Soldier, you are still out of uniform. I gave you a direct order to report to supplies and get your issue. Now get out of my face and don't come back until you look like a soldier! What was that? Did you forget something, maggot? I am not his sir! I work for a living, you moron! You will call me Sergeant or Sergeant Dornan. Do you understand me? Outstanding. Proceed on the double to the hangar, where you will stand guard duty. You will do a fine job. Do you understand? You moron! You are not to question my orders! When I say jump, you jump! When I say fight, you fight! When I tell you to die for your country, then you will certainly die! Have I made myself clear?
I can't get enough of this guy. It brings me great joy every time I play Fallout 2, knowing that I'm going to run into him again. Lastly, we can't forget the comms officer, who could be anchored into doing the Navy SEALs copy pasta a decade before that actually existed.
Ain't it the truth? Just don't let anyone who's got the president's ear hear that. You'll be making cattle runs to New Reno till the end of time, pal. Yeah, you know how unhappy he gets when people complain. He takes it personal, like it's a loyalty thing. Maybe that just goes with being the President of the United States, or what's left of him. The President of the United fucking States of America. Who do you think I was talking about? Who the fuck? Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is this? Oh, you a wise guy, huh? Look, I'm tracing you right now, pal. We'll see how smart you feel with internal security all over your freaking ass, dickhead. A few more moments and I'll have your sorry ass in a sling. Hey, wait a minute. This can't be right. I've got you somewhere on the mainland. I've got you at Poseidon Oil, reactor number 5. Well, why don't you just sit tight and I'll order up a little celebration for you, including fireworks. Well, whoever you are, I just dispatched a Verdi assault team to your location. Have a nice day.
The final boss, Frank Horrigan, who is cool simply because he's voiced by Michael Dorn, is himself very menacing. Apropos to the Master, Frank can't be reasoned with. You're not going to talk your way out of this fight. He killed an intelligent Deathclaw with one hand. Obviously this guy's not going to reason with you. Frank Horrigan doesn't care if you have 200 speech, although trying to talk him out of it does yield a pretty cool one-liner.
You've gotten a lot farther than you should have, but then you haven't met Frank Horrigan either. Your ride's over, Midi. Time to die. We just did. Time for talking's over.
If it's any consolation, you can convince a couple of Enclave outside the boss room to defect from the Enclave and join in the fight. Oh right, I did just breeze right past that, didn't I? Intelligent Deathclaws. Yeah, I suppose we should talk about the Intelligent Deathclaws. Their addition is really stupid to some. I used to be a bit more ambivalent about them, but on my last few playthroughs for this video, I don't really like them that much anymore. Don't get me wrong, gameplay wise, I love having Gorse in my party. It's very cool to have my own pet Deathclaw. It is also really silly. What I think makes it worse is that it's part of the main campaign. It can't be avoided. There are serious plot points that involve these intelligent Deathclaws, since the Enclave, for reasons I do not fully understand, decided to make intelligent Deathclaws. I don't have much more to say about them. A number of fans really don't like their addition, and I don't blame them for not liking it. I don't even know how to steelman the argument, they're kinda weird. I suppose that sums up Fallout 2, doesn't it? An odd hybrid of cruelty and comedy. Even with Kane and Boyarsky gone, I still believe that the game feels like Fallout. Replaying it a couple of times for this video, I'm reminded why it was on my top 5 list for such a long time. Even if I don't enjoy the pop culture references, and think some of the stuff is a little too silly like the shotgun wedding, I am able to look past that, and just enjoy the game. I'm still pretty bad at closing these videos out, so I'll just end with this. In spite of any complaints I've made, I still love this game. I still love Fallout 2.
The President of the United fucking States of America. Who do you think I was talking about? Who the fuck? Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is this?